Hello, everyone. Um, Today is a new episode, the Visual Talk. This series with amazing females I really love and inspired by. And today I'm so grateful and happy, as always. I say that because it's true. I have today a special guest from Vienna, and is Lisa Schantl, the Teen Journal. And for me, it's very, very important to have a Lisa Schantl here because we have been involved since I published in Teen Journal a long time, in 2018, almost. Yes, we have been connected since that. So it's my pleasure today to have in this visual talk Lisa Schantl. So welcome, Lisa.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure, really my pleasure. So Lisa Schantl is a founder, as I say, the editor, the chief in the Teen Journal. And also she's assistant in the Institute of Art in Public Space in Eritrea, Styria. Also, she holds a degree in English and American Studies with a focus in North America literature and environment. As well, she has a bachelor degree in the same field and philosophy. She's an amazing editor, I know that. And also a literary translation. She's involved in literary translation. We can talk about that later. And she has been published in journalism and critical work, has appeared in many magazines like Persepolis, Paradox, The Hopper. Recently, I discovered that, and the Normal Review, and much, much more. You will find that. I will left her bio, and you can check more about Lisa. So I would like to give a warm welcome in this summer beautiful we have in this north far. And I would like to start with the first question. Talk about something very recent when I heard the Sumita Paul interview. You say something very important for me, and I was very surprised. You say you have been the first in your family to go to the university. And I was surprised, and I will explain why. I was surprised because it's Europe, and you live in Vienna, you born, and so it's like can be kind of curious now. And I would like to ask you if it's okay with you. What could you tell us? What motivated you to pursue this university career, and maybe talk about what happened in the background and something you would like to share with us. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you again for having me. I live in Graz, actually. Graz. It's the second largest city of Austria. So it's not the capital, but as close as it can get to the capital. So yes, I am the first in my family to go to university. It's definitely been a journey for me, because I come from a very, very small village. I think when I grew up, there were probably 1,000 people living there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, yes, it's very tiny. But I already started early to sort of, move beyond its borders, because I attended a music high school, which was an hour away from this bus ride. So this was, I think, already the first step to widen my horizons, I think. And then when I finished this music high school, I was like, still, I don't know, should I, try to go to college? Should I not? I'm not sure. I felt a little bit more, no, I can do without college. I can totally just be a regular, working person probably. And then I tried to do that for a year, and it just did not work.
Mm.
So I worked at a dentist's office first, but I was always more interested in the how, and more interested in the why. Why do we do it like this and not in a different way? Or so I don't know. I was never really satisfied, and yeah, then I figured out probably that's because there's just so much more for me to learn
Of
in
course.
this world. And so I felt like, yeah, I need to see more. I need to learn more, also to get different perspectives, and yeah, change my point of view. And when I decided for this, it was, of course, also from my family. It was like, wow, you're really going to college? I'm not sure. Like, they were really doubting this decision,
Oh, that's
because it's just, of course, then I won't be making money. So all my money would just be from jobs next to uni, to support me, of course. So I was absolutely always supporting myself. But still, it was different. It was not like the
yes.
regular path that has been around. Yeah, and then seeing uni from the inside, and I inscribed in English and philosophy right away, and I did them in a dual study mode, and it was just fantastic. I mean, in the first semester I was a little bit yeah, it was hard
Yes.
because there was no one I could really talk to about how the system works, and how to apply for stuff. I had no idea how to enroll in classes, and yeah, but no, it worked out. And after the first semester, I also felt I had learned already quite a lot. So I felt right now I'm also there where the other students are, who are probably coming from a more academic background already. And yeah, so was definitely the right choice.
Oh, of course. Also, you're an amazing artist as well. So you cannot stop there, of course. And you see, you don't stop there. You have a amazing career after that. We will talk about that. And yeah, definitely. Sometimes we have to follow our intuition. Now that's the reason I ask you this question, because even sometimes our background is not a definition for what we will become, and that's something very important for me as well, because I have a similar story as well. So that's my point as well. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I would like to ask in the second, after all that path and very hard time, you pursue the master degree in English and American study specific, as I say, with focus in literature and environment. Could you please tell us which all American authors you read in your adolescence? And which one do you think have influenced your currently career?
Mm-hmm. Wow, so many.
Yes, it's okay. Take your time.
I mean, the first that always comes to my mind is really it's just Margaret Atwood. Like, for me, she is the first name that just right hits me when I think about which author is out there.
Yes.
I think she just has such a way of being true to life that is really hard to find. And I remember that I think the first story that I encountered was already in high school, at university. It was The Tent, and I think it's so good, but it's not really so well known. So I really encourage everyone, go and look for The Tent, the story by Margaret Atwood. It's also so philosophical, and I think it plays around a little bit with Plato's cave and everything. And this was just so inspiring for me, because I saw that I can, weave so many different ideas and thoughts and streams of thoughts into a story, into a literary piece. It was really, it's still, when I think of it, this is definitely a piece that changed how I look
That's
at things.
that's beautiful. No, I really love that you mentioned that.
Mm,
That she's one of my uh, authors I have in my my inspiration all the time.
yeah, yeah.
That's a beautiful. Something else that maybe you during your career and your master and your
Mhm.
research, maybe you find that another uh,
Uh,
author.
hmm. I mean, during uni, I just, of course, you read a lot of stuff, but you mainly read the canon.
I know.
And the canon also only, I think, goes until 1980. I don't know. They probably did not look beyond it yet. So definitely Toni Morrison is among
Yes,
them.
I love.
Her magical realism is just like fantastic. I mean, how can you even think of this? It's so good. Um, and now probably also I discovered this author just recently, and I think her book, it's a poetry collection. It just came out, I think, as her debut actually. Amanda Moore.
Oh,
It's called Requeening, and the book is just really, it's a poetry collection, and it's so personal, but at the same time, she manages to make it be, every poem also is about the whole world in a way,
oh,
about nature, about earth, and all on
beautiful.
the example of her relation with bees, sort of.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, yeah, so she's definitely also become one of my most inspiring poets that I especially read this year, but probably also for the last 3 years or so. This poetry collection, absolutely recommended. Yeah.
Oh, I will check it for sure. I didn't know. I never read. I had to update my my library. Uh, thank you. Let's go to talk about your beautiful and inspiring work in Teen Journal, because
Mhm.
Teen Journal, when I came across with Teen Journal, I was so happy
Mhm.
and out as a writer, because it's a unique, very unique
Mhm.
magazine, literary magazine online, and also the way your missions and the way you work is so inspiring, and I would like the people know more about that. And as I said, Teen Journal is an international and intercultural literary magazine. I love that. Based in Graz. And I will let we talk today what challenges you face daily in the editorial world as an independent publisher in this case, and also ESL with a focus in ESL authors. That's very nice.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, so I think, I mean, the founding was quite as straightforward probably as it can be, because I founded it in a very yeah, safe environment at a publishing course in LA. And I really had time there to dedicate myself to it straight for 6 weeks. So this was very intense, and together with some other interested people from the workshop there, we figured out really the whole, yeah, groundwork for it. But then my time in the States was over. My visa ran out. And so I had to go back to Graz. And yeah, I decided that I want to really make a thing of it. So we already had collected all the texts. And then I looked for a web developer here. Actually, I found someone who I also knew across, you know, from people to
That's
people, mouth of
that's
word.
amazing.
So that was quite good, and we figured out how to do the website, and yeah, so the technical side of it really worked out very well. And also the students at uni here were very happy that they now have a place to publish their work, because there's no
Mm.
magazine at Graz Uni actually for literature. And also the professors, some still from Montclair, some also from here, were very intrigued by the idea. But it was really tough in terms of finances.
Mm.
because everyone just assumed, since it would be online and volunteer run, well, it wouldn't cost anything.
Yes.
But that's just not the case, because although it's just online and I only have to pay the web fees, I mean, I also have to pay the web developer because he's a professional.
Of course.
And of course, also marketing things, because you cannot just do a thing and no one knows about it. That's just not how it works. So yeah, so there were a lot of things, a lot of talking, and it's still, for me, it's still a lot of talking, a lot of going to events, to connect with people, to talk to different institutions here in the area. But I feel that as soon as I get a chance to really talk about it, to talk about why English as a second language literature is important, especially in a world where it's the most spoken second language there is, then I feel like when they understand it, yeah, there's definitely an interest, and they also want to collaborate with us. So I think this year, especially this year, has just been milestone breaking.
Yes,
because
I know.
yeah, we have so many events, and we've been invited to also hosting literary stages at different events. We're collaborating with other organizations. We're doing workshops.
You have an award as well, the magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, I asked the question is kind of to remind the people, or audience who listen, or the authors who publish with him, the path is not really easy, and we saw what we saw outside is no our internal battles every day. So I thought that's very important to understand that part, and also to hear from you, because you are the front. So it's very nice to connect with that part as well.
Yeah, probably I want to emphasize just one more thing, the volunteer work. Because without all the volunteers who also believe in this idea, this just would not work, because we just lack the finances. It's not we're not paid. It's really not a financed thing. It's fully financed thing. So yeah, it's so important that all these people are just still interested in working with me and working together on this idea and this mission. Yeah, so I think this is probably also like finding the right people, the ones that stick with you. This is also very, very challenging and so important and so motivational too.
Of course, no, I agree with you. And Teen Journal, I encourage everybody to check. They have amazing artists and worker, volunteer, all are almost artists and writers. So that's a privilege to have that as a magazine. Yes, I agree with you. And this fascinates me. The act of translating for me is like an inspiring trance. And I was like, oh, it's true. That's something stuck to me. And tell me, as an editor, writer, and translator yourself, how do you think what you translate can influence in your work as a writer as well?
I think it influences me. Translating influences me in a way that I learn to understand the text, really understand it. And I think if we write something ourselves, we usually think, yes, of course I understand it because I wrote it, But I think that's not the case. And many times it's not the case. You write something because you feel it, or because you want to convey a certain idea, but do you really understand? Did you reflect on all the meanings it can have? And I think this is definitely something that I try to learn from my translation work. So when I do a literary translation, it's not just like, reading a sentence and then translating it. No, it's really like thinking about how many layers does it have? How can I do this in another language? and then also think about, you know, all these synonyms and different expressions that are out there. And also what I started doing recently, actually through another poetry course, self-translating your work, but in the same language.
Oh,
This is a really, really interesting exercise,
that's
because
cool.
you need to look at every line really, really intensely, and then probably actually the translation is more the thing you wanted to say than the piece in the first place. So this is just some practice that I try to do. Yeah, and as an editor, of course, I'm influenced, especially when I write stories, I think, but I don't write stories that often. But if I do, I always have this, you know, the story arc thing, of course, in mind, looking at
I
this.
I must say it, and you are very good writer. We have been in the same writing workshop, and I heard your story. You are very good. You must say, you must keep that and keep going, because you're very good. I love your imagination and your way. The yes, please.
Thanks so much.
No.
Yes, I hope that I will have more time in the near future to focus on more also writing and not just editing and translating. Yeah, but so yeah, definitely, it's like this gaze that you develop. It's I think it's very useful. Also, of course, in terms of grammar and spelling. Although this is of course also an editor's task, but I think it's also useful if you can already adopt it as a writer. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And also, Lisa, you have 3 other languages as well, not just German, Spanish and French. Yeah, language can be as well for you as an editor, a very good hack now, because how to understand the other minds and background. That's so beautiful. That's very important as an editor, I guess, and as a writer as well. Okay. In one of your interviews, you mentioned there are a forest in Canada. I was so curious, what forest? And I would like to, you say that you like a lot and make you feel relaxed. Could you please tell me us where is that place and what inspired you about?
Yeah, it's a really fascinating place for me. I don't know if it's for anybody else. I would love to know if it's for anybody else. No, it's just so yeah, I spent a year, a study year in the States, and then I decided I want to see more of the country, and also of Canada. And so I did a 2-week stay on Vancouver Island.
Oh, of course.
Yes. And I did a little bit of the West Pacific road there. Like you can go to the way west, and then just ride along the ocean. And I spent 2 nights in Tofino, which is just really at the bottom and really exposed to nature and to the ocean, and it's just formed by the ocean, I think. And so yeah, I did a lot of the regular tourist stuff. Of course, you have to do it when you're there, like whale watching. And I also saw a wonderful eagle flying. It was really a very natural experience. And then I think on the last day probably there, I did a little hike through the forest. It was a nice path, so very like a civilized hike still.
Yes.
Yeah, in Austria we're used to more you know, different hikes that are more challenging, but it was a nice walk. And so I came by this secluded lookout, basically. So there was trees all around me. There was a bench looking at at the planks, you know, like there. And then beyond it, it was just the wild ocean really just gushing against the stones. And it was just so wonderful. I sat there, and I you know, you smell the wood, you smell the ocean, you hear the birds, you hear the ocean, you also hear the trees whispering. And yeah, I think all the composition was just so perfect for me, and also because it was at this stage in my life where I was totally free. I had no idea what am I going to do.
That's
I knew
amazing.
that I would be yes, and I knew I go back to Graz, but I didn't know much, how my life would change probably. And so it was this, I think, this moment, and it was just so perfect. And I still go back to this place many times because it has this this positive feel of welcoming something that's unexpected. And I think this is just really my place for it.
Oh, I love it. No, I was so very, very curious because yes, Canada have I am here in Canada, and I live in Toronto, but I'm in Nova Scotia now. And yes, Canada have that kind of little places that you really fell in love, and it's like, oh, I would like to maybe stay here for a month or write something with my character here in this. And yes, makes sense because you love Margaret Atwood, so it's almost all connect as well. And I was really surprised at what place do you love, and maybe we can connect or projects with that place as well. It would be nice.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, you have to write about that because I see your eyes spark when you talk about that place. I don't know what happened in that place, but you definitely have a very good experience that you have to write about that place. I encourage you. That's your assignment. Your assignment this week.
Yeah.
All right, let's go keep and talk about writing because Lisa, she's an editor, as I talk about, and she's a translator, but she's also a writer, and even she don't recognize maybe, or we had that stage. We sometimes very shy and don't. When I say I am an author, I feel still sometimes that kind of a contradiction. I don't want to say too much. I'm a writer because still I feel like any more step maybe. And yeah, I understand your feeling, but let's go to you are a writer. So what kind of literature you would like to write, or you are answering, and or maybe now today?
True. The writer part is really hard because I feel like if you're not really a professional writer, like really, like this is your income, it's hard to express it in this way. So I always say that, I write. And sometimes it gets published. I think I'm fine with this, actually, because it takes the pressure away also.
It's better, yes. I know, I understand.
If I do write, currently I mainly write poetry. It just more speaks from my heart at the moment. Also stories, take longer in a way. You have to plan them, you have to really sit down and write them, and I don't have the time to sit down. So also when I write my poems, it's usually on my phone and just wherever I'm around. Also trains. I love riding in trains.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I don't know, seeing the view passing by I think it's very nice. But if I were a really professional writer, I think the poet that I mentioned before, Amanda Moore, would just be perfect, because I think her work really also speaks to me because it's also close to what I really aim at writing. It's this eco perspective on the world, awareness of the earth as really as a thing, not just as the surface that we live on, but as this living thing, the earth.
Yes.
And still combining this idea with my personal and experiences and my philosophical ideas.
Yes.
I think managing this combination successfully would make me really happy. I'm trying it as often as I get to have the pen in my hand, the typing pen.
The typing pen.
Yes. But yeah, I think this would be my goal. Yeah.
I love it. And I thought, and I am sure it would be a very beautiful, because I saw you write it. We have been in the workshop you led, and I heard you, and also uh, and all this year they listen to you and research and learn a little bit more about you. I know that will be your perfect fit, because you are very active with the climate change,
Mhm.
and so I know. And also I read your presentation, your abstract presentation about
Mhm.
humanizing and naturalizing the non-humans. I recommend everybody to go there and listen that, because I was so surprised. I didn't know that before, but when I read, it
Mhm.
was very beautiful. It makes sense, because now you are led a workshop about writers and climate crisis.
Yeah.
So could you please tell me about a little bit more about this project
Mhm.
and what this took about?
Sure.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think definitely eco literature and translingual literature are just my two main fields of interest. And if they merge, it's even better.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, no, eco literature. I think also Edward definitely got me to it.
Yes.
And it really sparked an interest in two of my classes at uni here in Graz were already focused on eco literature. And yeah, I don't know, I just felt that it met my my scientific interest also in the field, my also the social spectrum, because
Yes.
the climate crisis is also something extremely social,
Yes.
and my personal interest. And so it just was this mix, and I felt at home at it right away, and I read a lot on it, also theoretical stuff. And so I wrote my master thesis on it. And actually the talk you mentioned is the first chapter mainly from my master
Mm.
thesis. Yeah. So then in 2020, yes, last year, no, 2021, yes, 2021, I saw this art installment, yeah, on a square in Graz that is really dry. There's just concrete, there's just parking cars. It's also super hot there. And an artist collective decided we want to turn this into an oasis.
Oh.
And so they built a gigantic art installment of trees. Really, there were actual trees. They were actually also rooted,
Oh.
and you could sit in there, and birds would nest in there, and
Beautiful.
it also had some water sprayers, so everything would stay a little bit more humid and nicely. And so yeah, this, and they had a call open for projects, and I connected with a fellow literary person here in Graz with another Lisa. There's so many Lisas, Lisa Höllebauer. And so we decided, yes, we wanna propose a project, and this was Writers in Climate Crisis, and we will also do it again this year. So it's we invite people who speak German and English, because there's an English workshop group with 5 to 6 participants and a German speaking group with the same amount of people. And then with these people, they can come from a literary background, they absolutely don't have to. We just sit down for a day and really think about how can we, weave these climate change scientific facts
Mm.
into stories that also touch people's hearts and move them, and probably make them more aware that this is real, it's
It's,
already happening. It's not an
it's
illusion
true.
that will hit us in I don't know, 100 years or so. No, it's really here.
Less.
Yes. But it's I think it's not in the minds yet,
Mm.
um or in the hearts probably. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we sit down and we talk about this, and then the people make some early drafts and they work about it for 2 months, and after 2 months there's the presentation. This time the workshop will be in August and the presentation in October. And we also invite an artist to visually translate all the stories. Last time this was Val Smets. She is just really amazing. I think she's probably one of my favorite artists ever out there, because she's working a lot with mushrooms, and it's very exciting. And I think right now she's in Paris. I don't know. She's all over. It's really, really great work. And she did an installment in the art installment that you could actually enter. So there was a pool of things, and then a huge painting where all the texts were depicted. Yeah, so this is just our idea of getting in touch with the wider public who are interested in literature, but probably they're also not, probably they just stumble across it and just wanted to stop and see what's going on there. Yeah,
that's amazing. No, I thought personally I am very passionate about this theme as well, this theme. And with my photography, I try to touch that subject as well, because I can see back in Cuba and also here in Canada as well, we have a lot of the problem with the climate change, and it's a very hard topic, and it's true, not everybody have that in mind or acting as a Canada is very well known with I am grateful to be here, because they very care a little bit with the planets and all that. So I still have a lot of work to do. And I think that project doing in public is a very important step to the people understand. So I hope this year will be a very good experience for you as well.
I hope so.
I hope, yeah. Yes. I would like to ask you back to the editor and what's on in your horizon as a editor, writer, and translator. Let's go back to that and convey, because I know a lot of stuff go on, but I would like our audience that we should know more about you, and that's the point.
Yeah, a lot always. So from my researcher side, I'm currently working on a paper on translingual writing and migration, which will focus actually on Tintext, but also on some others. So this will come out in October. So I'm really into this at the moment, into this topic. From an editor's side, there's of course a Tint issue 8 will be out in September. September this year. I'm very much looking forward to it. We have really a great variety of texts again from all over the world. Also some new countries, I think. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. We're getting close to 70 countries ever published in Tint. So I think it's really I'm looking forward to it. Then of course there will be another Tinted Tales event, I guess sometime around November probably. We'll see, maybe online. This is still in the making.
Yes, most definitely. Sorry, in my personal opinion, hybrid events will be amazing, because you see how much you can reach around the world. I can participate and everybody can join. That will be nice.
Yeah,
to have a box.
Exactly. And also next year is a huge year for Tint, because we're celebrating our 10th issue then in September. And I don't want to give away too much.
No, that's
phase.
Yes.
But I really encourage everyone who's interested to just really stick around on our website and follow us on social media, because there will be news soon, at least like early next year, and it will have an audience part 2. So
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Stay tuned.
No, I am so happy, and yes, I will definitely put all the website and highlight that, to my audience that we should talk.
Yeah,
And for sure, mostly the people will love to be in touch with you and with the Teen Journal, because mostly my
yeah,
audience, they are writers and artists, and so it will be a perfect suit for everybody.
perfect.
Um, yes, so good news. People stay there tuned with all that. And to close, and my God, the time goes fast.
Yeah.
To close, I would like to, I ask that question almost to all my interviewers. It's about this global situation we all have been
Hmm.
live now, the COVID pandemic. And I would like to, well, I think almost 3 years in this.
Yeah.
So, did you remember what you were doing when you first heard about COVID? And how did you react into this new?
Mm.
And also, how did you adapt your projects to this pandemic time? And what did you learn about this tough global time? And with that,
Mhm.
is a long subject, but I thought it's very important to talk about.
Yeah. No, sure. Also, not to get it away from our memories, right? Because it's moving back. I think it's the interest is
Oh,
decreasing. Sure. Yeah, I don't know what I did when I first heard of it. But I remember what I did when they announced the first lockdown here in Austria, because back then I was working at a publisher's actually, and we were just preparing a huge event because they were celebrating, I think, their
oh,
435th anniversary. So really old publishers.
oh,
And everything was in place. You have the musicians, you have the actors, you have the moderation, you have the location, the catering, everything. And then there was this bomb exploding. You cannot do events, and of course, yes, you get it. It was fine, we all saw it coming. We had to adapt, and yeah, but this was definitely what I was I think it was actually folding some cards,
oh no,
invitation cards, I don't know,
no. Yeah, that's
something like this. Yeah, yeah,
kind of hard now that time.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, no, it was fine. And when I then figured, yes, I should definitely inform myself more about it, I just did that. So I read everything I could find. I listened to podcasts, also from different parts of the world,
Yes.
because yeah, thanks to the internet, you can do that. And then, of course, also with Tint, we had to adapt because we were also planning on doing a physical event in Graz. And then actually, I think 3 of our regular Tinted Tales, or 4 even, were moved entirely online.
Mm. Yes, I
But
know.
it worked out very well. So I think Tint adapted very well because we were already an online magazine. This was just another, yeah, doing it more online. So it was not that much of a change.
Yes.
I learned a lot about streaming, about live streaming, and also about what you have to be aware of when you do this kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to be flexible, really,
Hmm.
to think about the solutions and not the problems. I think this is maybe something that I try to do even more now than before, because just thinking about the problems doesn't get you anywhere. You really have to think about how can I solve this, and probably actually the solution will be more better than the initial idea, or it will open new ways for you. So I think it definitely showed me to be creative also on the organizational part, and not to I don't know, yeah, see no end of the tunnel, no light
Yes.
at the end of the tunnel. No, there's always a light. It's just a different
Exactly.
tone.
That's beautiful, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. I really love that. And definitely is a complete experience for everyone, of course. Uh, no, everybody adapt the same way. And that's the reason
Mm.
I would like to always ask the same question to all my interview, because well, have it very on one side sad and another with all the bittersweet, no, like I was
Yeah.
saying, like a life is. And yes, so something that you learning or you would like to share with our audience, or advice that you would like to give in general? I
Mm,
don't know.
in general, go with open eyes through the world. I think that's probably what I can always just say. Yeah, and pay attention to the details. Beauty is hiding everywhere. We just have to look at it.
That's so beautiful. I totally agree with you. I, that's one of my mantras. So
Yeah.
we are aligned in that aligned
Perfect.
that I love to go. Well, I also have to add something to our conversation and to our audience know about you more. You are an explorer as well. Your Instagram have beautiful photos. We have to add that if you like, because you I love your pictures there. You have very beautiful um, eye to see the world, and that's something resonate with me when we connect uh,
Hmm.
through Teen Journal. I saw your
Thank you.
your Instagram is so, yeah, it's a touch there, and also uh, the thing I love image is you can see more about the person without talk, and that's something uh,
Yeah.
beautiful as well. So I am so grateful to have Lisa Scholl in this visual talk conversation. We can be more and we can talk more, but for today, this first part, we can keep going another moment to talk about other events. Having a very nice pleasure and very, I'm so grateful that you joined us. And
Thank
also,
you.
please keep in touch, and that's it. Just
Will do.
say thank you. I don't know if you want to add something else, share something else, some thoughts. Open.
All out. I'm empty. An open book now.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for having me. It was really nice.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Okay.
To you sending me the link.
Yes.
Yes.
Take care. Love
Perfect.
it.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.